All right, well, this one's a tough video to film, isn't it? It's a very controversial video, as you can see by the title, and you're going to have people disagreeing with you regardless. If you sit in the middle, you're going to have the people on the positive going against you and people on the negative going against you. If you sit on the positive side, and you probably actually, even with that being said, you'll probably even have people in the middle ground who go, I've got a different version, I've got a different vision to you. So you kind of sit in a place where no one agrees with you, right? And then you've got the positive side where you're going to have people disagreeing with you from the negative and the middle, and the negative will have people from the positive and the middle ground disliking their opinion. And at the end of the day, this is all an opinion. At the end of the day, this is just my opinion. I don't speak on behalf of any Indigenous people because I am not Indigenous myself. I don't know about the feelings and the emotions because I haven't gone through said feelings and emotions. All I can speak from is my personal experience as an Australian, who is very proud to be Australian. I love Australia. Australia is the greatest country on earth. I love the people of Australia. I do love the multiculturalism. I love every part of our beautiful country, and it is beautiful, but it does have its negatives. There is absolutely negatives to do with the country, but this happens everywhere. There is negatives to do with every single country, and there is pretty much colonization to do with majority of countries across the world. The situations have just been dealt with a little bit differently per country, and there is a significant divide between the white population of Australia that are classes the colonisers in the situation. Side note, I definitely didn't colonise anyone. I definitely wouldn't do that, and I don't believe that I should be thrown amongst a group of people back in the day that thought it was right to do that. And I'm not saying it was right, but at the time that's what they're thinking because they don't have the knowledge that we have now. Just like they didn't have the knowledge in the 50s like we have now. They didn't have the knowledge in the 2000s like we have now. You're always evolving and you're always understanding that what happened in the past, that wasn't right, but that was how people lived. And that's not me saying that's okay. I do not agree with it being okay of the atrocities that were committed, right? That's not what I'm saying here at all. But it's very difficult because I don't really know if there ever is a solution to get over the hump with this one. I really don't know if anyone's going to ever be able to agree wholeheartedly with whatever decision is made, or if things continue. I don't think there's ever going to be a winner. And I don't want there to be a winner. I remember when I was growing up in the 90s and the 2000s and, you know, maybe so much the 2010s, I think it kind of started to really heat up, probably mid-2010s maybe, on the top of my mind. I remember Australia Day used to be awesome. It used to be something that we never had deep impacts of. It was always just people putting on their Australian singlet, you know, their budgie smugglers or their board shorts, their flag, and you know, you've got your hat, I don't even know what it's called, but the one with the corks at the end of it, and it'll go around, and people would paint their face, and people would drink and go down to the beach or have barbecues, and it was such a fun, awesome day that represented everything to do with our country, and represented everything to do with how we got to where we got to, and the people around us, our family, our community, and our country. But the Indigenous feel that we got to there. We got to there via bad things to their people, via atrocities to their people. And they are right. They are right. But the people who are celebrating Australia for Australia, they're also right. No one's wrong to feel the way they do about the country, because on both sides it's right. The Indigenous have every right to be upset and angry, regardless of apologies, regardless of whatever. They have every right within themselves to feel angry and to feel upset and to feel like they have been oppressed. And then the white population, and anybody who doesn't have that same sentiment with Australia, they are right to feel proud of their country, what we have built, who we are as a people, and what we are developing as a nation, even though there's a few negatives in regards to the future that we're going down. But it's a beautiful country. Now, Australia Day is January 26th. Now, Australia Day is January 26th. And this day is when everyone is meant to come out and do what I said before. Yes, you'd have your drunk idiots who'd get in fights and brawls and all that sort of stuff. And there's been a few situations in Australia Day throughout the past. But January 26th for the last few years has been a very hot topic in Australia where the Indigenous are vehemently against it. Not all, I'm not going to class everyone in this, but a majority of them for sure are against it. And then you have the pushback from the white people of Australia, or people who just don't care, who want to have a public holiday or celebrate. They push back saying, well, no, we want to be proud of our country. It ruins it because no one can be proud of the situation that we're in because of that. No one can be proud that there is a divide. Is there a divide in New Zealand between the Māori population, which is the Indigenous, and the white population? There is a divide. It's just not as significant. There is a divide there. It's just not as significant, but I'm not going to go too deep into that because it's not my right to say. But ultimately, the day is ruined. And no matter what from here, or from a couple of years ago, the day will never be the same. January 26th will never have the same fun and emotion and feeling like we once had. And there is a couple of suggestions from the Indigenous population to change the day. Now, I agree with this. I think that's the correct thing to do. I feel like the day January 26th represents an atrocity that was committed against people that even if you can't understand their perspective is not wrong. Their perspective is not wrong. Even if you can't understand it, they are entitled to feel the way they do about their ancestry, their family, and their community and their people. They are absolutely well entitled to have that emotion. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't care, and no one cares that you disagree with how they're meant to feel, because no one's telling you how you're meant to feel. And if they are, you're entitled to have your emotions and feelings towards it, regardless of what anybody else says. That's life. Everyone's entitled to their feelings and emotions. And my feelings and emotions is that the day of January 26th represents a day that we'll never be able to get back on being proud of Australia, because it hurts deeply people that are a big part of our population. They are a big part, regardless of, I see people all the time saying, oh, but without the white colonisers, we wouldn't have all the cities and people using sticks and, people using sticks when they're Indigenous and all this sort of shit. And it's just like, shut up, man. Whilst you are correct that the white colonisation did wondrous and amazing things for the country, outside of the negatives towards Indigenous in oppressing them and putting them to the side and doing some really bad things. Yes, white people absolutely came in and built up the amazing country that we do have. But that doesn't ignore the fact that those people have been kind of shoved into the corner and put into their own little world where they don't feel like they are a part of this country. They feel like they're a part of their own country. And that hurts. Because I want everyone to be one. We are one, but we are many. And from all the lands on earth we come. It's a great song. It's a great song that represents us. And honestly, you could argue that should be our national anthem. But I, as an Australian, am of the belief the date should be changed. Now, what date that is, I don't know. But I will say, if the date is changed, that's it. That's it. Regardless of whoever kicks up a stink, because there will be, there's always going to be somebody. I agree with changing the date because I don't want these people who are a massive part of Australia and people that I want to include with everyone. I want everyone to be classed as one and happy and proud of Australia, Indigenous and all. So changing the day is a must because we're never going to have a good day if we keep it on the same. It's just going to be full of protests and political speeches and bullshit and fights, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth to keep going. It's not worth to just stay stubborn and say, nah, screw you. We're going to do what we want. You don't get to tell us. But I will say that if it gets changed, then that's it. Whatever negativity someone brings up about it, because you're not going to make Australians change their opinion twice. You're not going to get people changing their thoughts on this twice. And I guarantee you can go through every single day of the calendar year and someone's going to have a problem with it. So whatever day does get brought up, then sure. I'm all for it because I don't really give a shit what day it's on. I just care that we can be proud of our country. I just care that we can all celebrate Australia. For the good, the bad, the ugly and the beautiful, Indigenous, white population, multiculturalism, all as one. So there's been a couple of dates that have been suggested. Now there's one that says abolition. So some people call for the abolition of Australia altogether. You're an idiot. That's never happening. That's never happening. Says here, arguing that any day celebrating Australia celebrates colonisation and Indigenous genocide. You are an idiot. If you think that, if you think the abolition of Australia Day is the right way to go about it, you are an idiot. In my opinion. In your opinion, you probably think I'm an idiot. But I'm going to celebrate Australia at some point or another. So I'm wiping that off the table. Whoever suggested abolition of it in total and to just refuse to be proud of the country that we live, you can feel free to shut up. 1st of January, Federation of Australia. As early as 1957, the 1st of January was suggested as a possible alternative day to commemorate the Federation of Australia. Now, is this the wrong thought process? No, I don't think so. I think that is a good suggestion, but I don't think that you're ever going to be able to convince to have Australia Day on New Year's Day. Whilst it's a great date, the 1st of January, it's New Year's Day. You know, people have just celebrated New Year's Eve the night before. Hey, guess what? Abolition voters, well, that probably is your best bet because people are probably going to be still too hungover from the night before of New Year's. They're not going to be able to celebrate Australia on the 1st of January. 19th of January, Alternative Federation Day. Proposed as an alternative because it is only 1 week earlier than Australia Day, and 19th of the 1st can represent the year of Federation. I feel like if you're going to have Australia Day a week beforehand, it's still kind of at the same time. And although the 26th of January represents the exact date, I don't believe it does, but that's like the consensus. Could be wrong. Comment away in the chat, or comment section if I'm wrong with it. But I feel like 19th of January probably isn't the right go. I think you need it to be as far away from the 26th of January as possible for everyone to be happy. Then they've got 2 national days here on the 25th and 26th of January. The 2 Australia Day campaign proposes that January 25 should be First Australians Day, a mourning for the last unspoiled day of Indigenous life, and that January 26 should be rebranded as New Australian Day, a day to celebrate Australia's rich history of immigration. Oh yeah, because that sounds fantastic. Oh yes. Yes, that's what we should do. We should divide the country even further. That's exactly what we should do. Hey, you guys, you can be proud this day, and then the next day we're going to celebrate the genocide that you're complaining about. What? That changes nothing. That changes absolutely nothing in any form. What kind of dumb idea is that? 3rd of March, Australia Act. There has been support for an Independence Day, 3rd of March, to represent the enacting of the Australia Act 1986. I'm not too sure what the Australian Act is. I think that's a good day. I think it's another way from the date in January. I think that's a good suggestion. People will get around. People will get around whatever day they're given. 25th of April, Anzac Day. I'm not even going to read it. It's not going to happen. Anzac Day is celebrating its own right of Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. People who died for us. And whilst I get the sentiment of Australia Day on Anzac Day, it's not going to happen. The 8th of May, which is basically a joke on the word mate. May 8. Mate. I don't even know what to say about this one. This is a very larrikin thing. This is a very larrikin thing to do. I just realised I was wearing a Chicago Bulls hat during this, but at the end of the day, so be it. Right, just finished the Bulls stream on my BKRsport channel. So I apologise, I'm not wearing something Australian for this video. But May 8th, I could get around it, eh? Like, Australians are larrikins, man. We love a good laugh. And people would just be like, May, all day. Like, I reckon that'd be pretty cool. That's 4 days after my birthday too, so I'd get around it. I don't know, I think there'd be a lot of adults who go, oh, that's just stupid. But at the end of the day, you get a public holiday on May 8. I reckon you have a good time. 9th of May, opening of Provisional Parliament House. Sure, again, it's far enough away from Provisional Parliament House. The day on which the first federal seat of Parliament was opened in Melbourne in 1901. Okay, that's a good date. Right there, that's a good date right there. But it's like May 8 doesn't actually have a representation of a specific thing in Australian history. It's just celebrating Australia. So no one should have a problem with that date. No one should have a problem with that date. I haven't done the research, but also if we change that, that's it. But no one should have a problem with May 8. 27th of May 1967 referendum. Anniversary of the 1967 referendum to amend the federal constitution has also been suggested. Amendments enabled the federal parliament to legislate with regard to Indigenous Australians and allowed for Indigenous Australians to be included in the national census. I'm happy for it. It's inclusive of the Indigenous, and it's inclusive of the coming together of two different kinds of people coming together to legislate something that benefited Indigenous Australians as part of the community. People are going to find something wrong with that, I guarantee you. They're going to say, well, that's just white people allowing us to join in. You know, like, people are going to find a way. But at the end of the day, I think that's a good idea because that's the coming together of the two parties at hand here. 9th of July, acceptance of the Constitution. This is the date when Queen Victoria accepted the Constitution of Australia. Not for me. 1st of September, Wattle Day. Wattle Day is the first day of spring in the Southern Hemisphere. Australia's green and gold comes from the wattle and it has symbolised Australia since the early 1800s. Fantastic. That's the day. Might be a little bit too late in the year though. But then again, who cares if you get a public holiday? Might be a little bit too late in the year. But I don't mind it. I don't mind that day at all. And it represents a part of Australia. The 8th of September, this was the day Australia was first circumnavigated. That's never going to happen. They're never going to use that. 17th of September, Governor Phillip decided not to punish Willemering despite being speared by that. There's kidnapping involved here and met with gifts which they accepted. Relative friendship between the two groups. Since 2001, this date is also considered Australian Citizenship Day. And citizenship ceremonies are also held on that date as of 2020. Okay, well then that makes sense. I'm glad that I kept reading there because I didn't really understand the first part, but Australian Citizenship Day on Australia Day is fantastic. That's a great idea. Then you got two more here, which is the 24th of October. I feel like these are too late. 24th of October 1889, Sir Henry Parkes, the father of Federation, gave this pivotal speech at Tenterfield in New South Wales. I feel like this is too late. And 3rd of December, the Eureka Stockade. Australia Day is not going to be on the Eureka Stockade. So I think that, like, ultimately, looking at these dates, I think 17th of September, I think let's move back over here. I think the 8th of May, 9th of May, and the 27th of May are the best options. But who am I? I'm just another person with an opinion. I'm just a person with an opinion. So that's what I would say is the best bet because, again, to wrap it all up, I just want us all to be celebrating our beautiful country. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful. I'm proud to be Australian. I will always be proud to be Australian. This is not a conversation in regards to the national anthem. There's not a conversation in regards to the flag. That's going to be a hard task if you think you want to change that. National anthem I'd listen to. I'm okay and happy to change the date, in my personal opinion, for people who find this day to be a hurtful day. Because I love you just the same. I speak for myself and I say I love you just the same, regardless if you're white, multicultural, and I absolutely love you if you're Indigenous. I don't care what background you come from, who you are, where you're from, in Australia. To me, you're Australian. It's not about colour or race or anything. Australia is a beautiful multicultural country that has a combination of everybody. And I just want to be proud of the country that we have. And if we change the day, which I agree with, I think we'll be on the right track. But if we change the day, that's it. There's no more changing. So much love. We post every single 2 days here on BKR Travel. We've got a huge year upcoming. Hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. If you agree, disagree, I still would appreciate a thumbs up just because it is opening a conversation. Again, I know how controversial it is. But I just wanted to do as an Australian speak about something that is big in this country and it will continue to get even worse unless we do something about it. I just want everyone to be proud of our country, Australia. Much love. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.